Hello, everyone. Welcome back to SAT Math Question of the Day with Professor Emeritus Seth Chaiken and Seth's brother Joel. We're here to hopefully help you approach SAT math questions. This is from a sample set of questions the SAT released for what's going to be what is known as the digital SAT, which is going to be phased in the winter of 2024 in the United States. We have 16 questions. This is question 7. It looks so weird that we have this section up here because the answer to the question is right there, and we don't want to look at the answer before we start. So here we go. Question 7. What's the minimum value of this given function? So, okay, why don't you pause it, stop it. Hopefully when you paused it, you only paused it for a very short time because it looks like the answer to this is 55. This is a parabola, and the parabola, when the minimum happens when x is 0, so the minimum of the function is 55. Minimum function means the lowest value, the lowest g of x value, the lowest y value this function can obtain, and it's when x is 0. So it looks to me like it's 55. Hopefully you can do this question in about maybe 2 seconds, hopefully. That would be sort of the goal. Hopefully you have enough practice so that you do this problem virtually instantly.
Yeah.
Seth, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. So when I approached it, I looked at it and I said, "It's a parabola," and it's a parabola. But the first term, and then second, I thought of this first thought in the brain like that, right? And then I looked at the I looked at the expression, and I thought this is always greater than or equal to 0. And so the minimum, and it's added to 55. So I thought, well, then the minimum is when x squared equals 0, and x squared certainly could be 0. And so I looked at this. When x squared is 0, the answer is 55.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to do it?
I don't know, about 3-4 seconds.
Right.
Maybe
So
less.
there are
Maybe
multiple
2 seconds.
ways. There are multiple ways to approach it.
Yeah.
So many different ways to think about it and approach it. Yeah.
But,
Okay.
you have to distinguish between this kind, this quadratic is more special than this quadratic because the b here equals 0.
Yeah.
And for quadratics like this, the minimum is somewhere away from x equals 0.
Mm.
And indeed, when you make x equal to 0, we have b times x. And if x gets a little bit bigger, the bx is either negative if b is negative or positive if b is positive. So if b is negative, you just make x a little smaller, and you get a little smaller value. If b is positive, and you make x negative, you get a little bit smaller, right? So it's not x equals 0 is not the minimum.
Right. Yeah, and you probably
And then the other thing is when they ask for the minimum value, it's 55 because 55 is equal to 0 squared plus 55. They do not ask for the zero here, the significance of the zero distractor is this is the value of x.
Yeah.
For which g of x is min.
Well, since we already know the answer, we could
Yeah,
go down.
so yeah, you know what you might get confused if they could do is if they ask you a different question, at what value of x does the given function take on its minimum? That's a different question from what is the minimum value of the given function.
Yeah, there probably were a few people. If this
Yeah.
if this question was given, I bet there was a small percent, maybe who knows what percentage of
Some
people would
people
say
get it
that.
wrong. It's
Yeah.
but you know, I'm trying to think of how the sort of mistakes in approaching one might make.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering what. So the I could see an origin for distractor D. Distractor B, you know, is 2 times 55.
Yep.
Someone who has no idea, who's really hadn't learned this stuff, might multiply 2 by 55 to get this. And could you think of how this could come from? Is this 55 squared?
I'm sure it is. Well,
Yeah.
again, this part of the entire test does have a calculator, so I just checked. It is. Yes.
That's
55
11
squared.
times 11 times 25. 11 times 11 is 121. You multiply that by 25.
Yeah, it's
you get,
30,
yeah.
So why don't we look at the answers, see what they say? Oh, look at that. They go to the next page. So all that silliness about laying the thing out, I could have just not worried about that. Okay, as the problem is the computer board froze. Usually it's about 6 agonizing seconds. See,
Yeah.
I'm moving it and it doesn't move. So we just have to sit here. There we go, the usual thing. I wish we had a more responsive computer thing here. We use this application called Ziteboard, and it is really sluggish. Not sure why, but let's see what they say. I bet the explanation to this question is going to be pretty simple. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Here it is. C. There it is. Okay, a quadratic in the form that. Okay, yeah. So they go into the whole quadratic form. Wow.
Oh, was
So
it B?
they really go into the whole quadratic form thing. This thing, the vertex form of the vertex form of a quadratic equation.
That's wrong. That's a different question. That's
No,
an
it's not.
exponential function he's giving.
No, that's because your
H,
Ziteboard.
it
No.
says H. Oh, there. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
We're looking at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they go full blown. They go a little overboard. But they go a little overboard because this is the vertex form.
Yeah.
It was really not necessary to got that into it, but they certainly want you to know that a parabola can be written in this form, where this would be 3x minus 4 squared plus 7, and they want you to know that the vertex, which is the minimum or the maximum of the parabola, is
it's the x value at which the minimum x of the parameter is.
No. They want
the
you
vertex
to be.
is the point on the parabola.
That's right.
Yeah.
They want you to know this. They want you to know that given this is a 4, by the way. They want you to know that given this, given that thing, 3 times x minus 4 squared plus 7, they want you to know that the vertex, which is in this case the minimum of the function, is at the point for
the minimum of the function is at the vertex.
Right. By this explanation, you can see that this is what they expect you to know for the SAT.
Yeah.
More than what we just did in the question, because what we did in the question.
So, in terms of approaching it, I got the answer more quickly by seeing the form a positive or zero function plus a constant.
Yeah.
And that positive or zero function is minimized when x equals 0.
Right.
Because it was a square.
Right.
I thought of that, and that got me to the answer more quickly than the explanation that they gave.
Yeah. Well, their explanation doesn't really get to the understanding of it. It's a more mechanical explanation.
I think it gets to the general understanding of it.
No, but it doesn't.
It's a more complex explanation that covers all cases. But by looking at it more directly, if it's in a really simple problem, it's quicker to get at it more directly. Like for example, what's 2 times 2?
4.
Why? Because you add 2 to itself, you get 4. 2 and 2 plus 2 equals 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That's really fast.
Right.
But what is 2 times 1024?
2024.
Yeah. No, 2028.
Right. Yeah, 2028.
Right?
Yeah.
It's quicker rather than add 1024 to itself. You use a more complex operation of multiply.
Right.
And even worse, what is like 512 times 1024?
Yeah, you'd have to actually
You do that by multiplying.
Of course.
But perhaps 2 times 1024, it's easier to do that by adding.
Right. Right. But notice that,
and so if the time test, an approach, we could do better with our approaching time test by using the simplest approach that works for the given problem.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so their explanation is not as helpful. It's not that helpful.
Yeah.
It doesn't advise the students to solve the problem more rapidly by using a simpler approach that's reasonable, that's practical for the given problem. Instead, they give a general approach that becomes practical when the problem is deeper and harder and has bigger numbers.
Right. That's right. Yeah. This is more a pedantic or a teaching approach than a practical approach to do the problem. And also, I'd
prefer to see teachers, pedants, to teach everything. Many approaches, and teach the skill of choosing the approach that works best for a given situation.
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, it's subtle. It's complicated. It's complicated. Yeah. Most people don't have the patience most people don't have the patience, the time, the money, whatever, to do that. Is to show different approaches and say this approach A works best when you have this condition. This approach works best when you have a time test for the college board. This approach works best if you're tutoring if you're helping a 4th grader. Yeah. Notice that this approach, even though it went full-blown this way, it did not give the insight that Seth noted that this is a square and therefore must be greater than 0. They didn't explicitly
or equal to
say
0.
that. Yeah, that's what I wrote at the bottom, or equal to 0. No, they didn't explicitly say that. And that's a really important point that Seth took.
No. Well, the thing is, they do not explain why is their explanation true.
Right.
They simply said it has the minimum value at x equals h when a is greater than 0.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't explain why. Hey, why is that? Why should that be?
That's right. That is a fault of the explanation.
Yeah, and in fact, it has the minimum value when a is equal to 0.
Yeah.
The value happens to be constant, which is a minimum value.
Yeah.
It's also a maximum value.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're done.
Okay.
Today was more criticizing their solution rather than actually doing the problem. Okay, everyone. So have a great day, and we will see you next time we meet. And please give us comments. Please email us at SAT Math Question of the Day with your SAT Math questions, or leave comments on the comment board on YouTube. Okay, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.